All right, we made it to the end of the day. It's math time, all right? Now, maybe you just had PE and you did your activities that Mr. Rating asked you to do. Maybe you're following our schedule that we usually do at Pinewood, or maybe you're doing math first. Okay, you can do it however you want. That's what's kind of great about e-learning, or I should say, however your parents want to do, because they're the ones in charge, okay? So for math today, we are going to do a couple word problems together. And then just like usual, you're gonna break up and you're gonna have 2 stations to do, okay? So we've kind of had a little break from school. We've kind of had 2 weeks off. And so I kind of want to review with you how to make a number sentence with your math problems, okay? So in your peg, you have a sheet and it should have 2 sides. Mine's not 2-sided, but yours would be 2-sided. And this is the one, it's all addition problems, okay? So you're going to be using the addition symbol. So I want you to find that because we're going to do the first 2 problems together as a class, okay? And I wrote them up here, see if you can find it. It says, Mr. Town had 4 B's. He got 5 more. How many does he have now? So just like when we do word problems, you have to make your number sentence, okay? So Mr. Town had 4 B's. So I need to make sure I write my 4, making sure it's not backwards. 4 B's. I told you that these were all going to be addition, so you know you're using all the plus symbol, the adding symbol. And he got 5 more. Slide left, pull down, circle forward to make your 5. 5s can be tricky, and sometimes we do them backwards, so we have to make sure that they're right. 4 plus 5, I have to remember my equal sign. 4 plus 5 equals. You may use your fingers, 4 plus 5, and count, or you could draw pictures. Sometimes I like to draw pictures. Now, I'm not going to draw B's because that takes a long time, and we don't always have a lot of time to solve these problems. So I just like to usually do circles. 4 B's, and he got 5 more. 3, 4, 5. Now, I could start here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm going to show you a faster way, okay? We know that there's 4 here, okay? And we're going to count on from 4. We have 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's counting on, okay? So Mr. Town has 9 B's. So on your sheet, you could do the same thing. You would write 4 plus 5 equals 9, okay? The next problem, Mrs. Pittman had 8 pencils. She got 1 more. How many does she have now? I'm going to read it again. I'm going to give you a minute to try and write that problem on your paper. Mrs. Pittman had 8 pencils. She got 1 more. How many does she have now? I'm going to say it one more time. Mrs. Pittman, me, had 8 pencils. I got 1 more. How many do I have now? So I started with 8. I got 1 more. How many do I have now? If I want to use my fingers, I can put 8 up, add 1 more. If I wanted to draw pictures, I could draw my 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and my 1 more. Or I could just know if I have 8, 1 more than 8, or what comes right after 8 is 9. So on your paper, you would write 8 plus 1 equals 9, okay? And there's 6 more problems on your paper. Now, the problem is you probably might need somebody to help read these to you. So if someone is available, maybe a brother, a sister, a grandma, somebody's home with you, they could read you the problems. Now, if they're busy and they're working and they don't have time right now, you can put this aside because you don't have to do this part right now. Maybe you get to it later. Maybe you get to it tomorrow. It's okay, okay? We're all just trying our best. So if you have somebody there to read you the problems, you can do this now. Otherwise, you can put it aside for later, okay? All right, your next thing you're gonna do is, we've all played this game before, it's called Busy Bee Bump. And in your bags, you actually have 2 Busy Bee Bumps. One of them is for, you have to look in the corner, one of them is for, in the corner, this one says 2 dice. So to play this one, you need 2 dice. Everybody has 2 dice, it was in their bag. To play this one, you need 3 dice. It says it right there in the corner. So if you only have 2 dice, the ones I gave you, you'll play this one. If you have another one, another dice at home somewhere, you could find it and you could play 3 dice if you wanted. You get to make a choice. Now again, this one we use with a partner. And your mom and dad might be nearby. You might have a brother and sister nearby. But if you don't, I have an even better idea. And you know who gave me this idea? Cam. Because Cam has this game that he's obsessed with. And he wants to play it all the time. And sometimes, a lot of times I play it with him, but sometimes I'm working and I can't play it with him. So Cam, the other day, said, you know what? I'm gonna go in my room and play with Sky. And remember, Sky's his koala, his stuffed animal, okay? So he set the game out and Sky played with him. Now, he was really pretending to be Sky, so he would roll the dice for Sky and do Sky's job, but he felt like he was playing against somebody else. So if you don't have anybody else to play with, grab one of your stuffed animals and you can play with your stuffed animals, okay? And remember, you need little, we use at school cubes to cover them up to play this game. And you may have cubes at home. That's awesome. If you don't, you could use something different. You could use pennies. You could use Legos. You could use blocks. You could rip a little sheet of paper and crumple it up in like little snowballs and use those. And remember, when somebody lands on a number twice, it locks up and you can't bump them, okay? And the directions are down here. If you're playing with somebody else and your parents are a little confused, you should be able to explain it to them because you've played this game before, all right? So your 2 stations today are to play, I'd say play 2, maybe 3 games of Busy Bee Bump and finish your word problems. And if you can't get to this one, I understand because you're probably going to need somebody by you. You could need somebody by you to help read them to you, okay? Thanks, friends. Have a great rest of your Monday.